Hey, yeah, YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of Learn JavaScript with Foundry VTT. And in our last episode, we went over maps. I think we finally got that all figured out and proper now, since I deleted the other two videos and re-uploaded the maps. So as you can see, we're still in version 11, build 304, and like I said, it doesn't really matter about the system, other than when we're actually looking into, reconnaissance and stuff where we're looking at individual characters and stuff. But other than that, really doesn't matter the system you're using. So let's go ahead and jump right into our next one. So we're going to do 17, and this time I'm just going to go ahead and change that to fundamentals instead of having to scroll up and down several times. So we're going to call 17. And I'm trying to think. We're going to be talking about string manipulation. And this is actually a really big thing. I'm just trying to think if I want to have it in. I'm assuming at a minimum this is probably going to be 3 episodes worth of content, which means it will be a really big JavaScript file that we're actually doing, or the macro file. I think we'll be fine. Manipulation. I think I spelled that right. So here we go. Let's go ahead and grab our template. I guess, now I'm thinking about it, I guess we really don't need to have, if I hit save and just open that up, that's when it says the use strict there. I'm kind of confused. Like, can I click on this and see it now? Not really. I'm thinking the advanced macro editor isn't really doing anything to help us. I thought it would give us additional functionality, but it seems like it's its own little macro editor behind there. So I'm going to go ahead and try and disable that and see if that... I don't think it's going to have any real big issues for us. All right, so if we do that, fundamentals, come down to string manipulation. See, we weren't even, as far as I know, we weren't even using any of the functionality of it. But now we don't have that other piece. We still have this that we can do. So I guess that's its own thing. All right, so let's hit F12 real quick. Close out all these dumb errors and go ahead and stick a bunch of carriage returns in here so we can start working with strings. So the very first thing I wanted to talk about is a string is very similar, but not exactly an array. What I mean by that is when we create a string, let's go ahead and just do let. I want to do this as a let for a very specific reason, and we'll call it my string. And we're going to say FOUND, Foundry is the best VTT. Having played with lots of different VTTs, this is strictly my opinion. I really think Foundry is the one that has the best features and I just really like it. I've had lots of experience doing Fantasy Grounds, which I thought was bee's knees for the longest time, especially because they actually have licensing with Wizards of the Coast, which makes it so they can actually have official D&D content. However, the funny thing is the core stuff of Pathfinder, for example, they Paizo seems to know that they don't make all their money in the core and the source stuff, that they make it more in the adventures. So you can access everything core of Pathfinder 2e just by going to the archives of Nethys. And you can create characters with every single class, race, or heritage in their case, background, feats, all that stuff is all available to you right there. It's their adventures and stuff that they actually make their money on, so that's where they don't necessarily have that freely available. All right, but now that we've gone off track and talked about that, let's go ahead and talk about strings. So basically a string is like a SPECI, a special type of an array. So what do I mean by that? When we create a string, we can access the individual indices. Indices? I don't know. So I'm going to just write, we can access individual. I'm trying to keep it short. Individual. INDE. Is it property indices or indexes? I don't know, so I'm just going to do dexes. Indexes like an array. So what I mean by that is with our thing up here, our my string being this, it's actually looking at it as if it were kind of a special array, meaning that if I wanted to access, say, the D in Foundry, I could do my string square bracket 4 square bracket. Now, why do I say 4? Because we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I have a little comment here. Hopefully you can see it okay in the video, but it kind of gives you the idea of, I have my string up here. Foundry is the bet, but I don't want to go too far, so I just went up to S. But you can see the F is 0, O is element, or do I call it element? Yes, I call it element, or index 1, 2, 3, and we can see that 4 is the D. So, for example, if I do CONSO, it's whenever I type console log, for some reason my fingers get tied up. Other things I seem to be doing okay. So let's just do fourth index. Sure. And we'll go ahead and do a comma here, and we'll do my string and do bracket for bracket. So if we look at this in our console log, you'll see that the 4th index is indeed a D. Now, also another thing to remember is a lowercase and an uppercase D are two completely different things. Computers don't look at them as the same thing. All right, so obviously that's going to return a D. Now, the one thing about your string versus an array is a string is immutable where an array is mutable. Now, if you don't know what that means, is it can be modified. Now, I know we could actually, because we set this as let my string, we could then say something like my string equals how now brown cow. And this isn't in my notes, but if I go ahead and output this and do my string, it seems like we just modified it, which would say, hey, wait a minute, Tasman's lying to me. We just changed our string here to how now brown cow, and it took it. But what's actually happening behind the scenes is this value is completely being obliterated. It's being set to a null value, and then this value is being replaced. Where with an array, I might clear it out, and then it's a blank array, and then I could insert my new values. But in this case, we cannot go say change D into an uppercase D. If we try and do something like that, we will get an error. I'm going to comment this out because the rest of my thing actually we can keep that one. The rest of my examples is assuming that this is our string. But I just want to point out, yes, we can change the value that's in my string, but it's changing the entire thing. Even if I were to set this to be the exact same thing, but make best all uppercase, it still doesn't say, okay, I just need to change this. It obliterates this one, says, okay, I'm no longer pointing to this one. My string is now pointing to this new value. So hopefully that makes a little sense. If not, leave a comment down below and I'll try and explain it a little better. All right, so let's say, for example, we wanted to try and modify our array here. So I'm going to go ahead and just comment or copy my comment. And as you can see, so unlike arrays, strings are immutable and cannot be modified. So if we wanted to say, change it by saying my string, and we wanted to, change our 4 value here, we go to 4. And let's say we want to change it to an uppercase D. If we run this, we're actually going to get an error saying that we're trying to change something that is read-only. So here you go. Undefined cannot assign read-only property for, I don't know why it says for, of string to read-only of string, Foundry, the best VTT, blah, blah, blah. So as you can see here, it's saying that we can't set the value that's in my string 4 to a D. Right? And that's because it's immutable. So we're going to go ahead and comment this out. We're going to leave it there just to let you know that, yes, we cannot do that. Let's go ahead and I'm going to leave that there, and then I'm going to put a console log here. All right, so let's move on with some string manipulation stuff. So it's kind of funny because here we're saying string manipulation, and then I just got done saying you can't manipulate the string. However, there are special functions or methods, just like there are with arrays, that we can use with strings. Technically, it's destroying the old string and recreating a new string, but this just gives us a way of, well, actually, no, I don't think we're doing any of that just yet. No, we're not. We're just doing extracting right now. So we're actually doing string manipulation, as in we are going to look at the different, where is different things. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in because I think I'm confusing you guys. So let's start out with like an array, a string actually has a value. So when we pull up a string and stuff, when we console log our string, if we close this, unlike an array, we have the little down arrow and we can say, oh yeah, there's, size is 6 elements or length is 6 elements or whatever. I think it's size. Or length actually with an array. We can do the same thing even though we don't see that we can expand this and then see the property down there. We actually do have the same ability to check the size of a string. So I'm going to do like an array, or let's just do like arrays. string strings have the built-in property, the built hyphen in, GTH, GTH. So they have the built-in property of hold on, I'm looking at my notes, of length. All right, so I'm going to paste this one because it's a long one. We'll talk about it. So here we're outputting in a string literal. We're saying my string is my string length, characters long. Always remember, as I even have up here, that a space, which would be this value right here, and right here, are technically a character, right? So we're seeing how many characters long our string is. So I did add here to remind us that yes, spaces are characters too. So here you can see that my string is 24 characters long. If we look here, S is 17, so we could do 18, 19, oops, don't want to move it. Oops, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Wait, I did that wrong. The S is 17, so that's 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. And is that what we get? Yeah, 24. Did I do that wrong? BES. S is 17, so that's 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Oh, I know why. It's because it's not counting 0, actually. That's why. So the way it's counting this is actually, it's 24 characters long, but it's counting it. Obviously, it's not going to start at 0. That's why. Okay. Oh. All right, so I'm going to grab a console log here. We're going to do the next one. Boop and boop. We're 17 minutes. Whew. All right, so I'm going to copy my comments because obviously I am lagging a bit behind. So strings share some of the same methods as arrays as well. So not only does it have the built-in property length, it also shares some methods that we can benefit with arrays. And one of those that we've gone over is the index of. And what this will do is it's going to find the position of the first occurrence of the given value. So in this case, trying to think, I'm probably gonna have to do a lot of copy and pasting here. Other words, we're not going to make this in time. So I'm going to do that. So here you can see the first occurrence of the letter D is in position, and then we're doing string, my string dot index of, and we're searching for D. So what we're going to expect it to give back is the 4, because it is in index position number 4. So let's go and run this, and we will see we get back 4. So we have our index of. Now also with arrays, we have the last index of, which instead of returning the first occurrence, this will actually return the last occurrence. So it can be used to find the position of the last occurrence of the given value. So in this case, we're looking for the last S. So I had to look here what letters I had multiple times, and S is one of the few. So we have S here, and we have S here. So this is why I took my array here out to S, is we should get back 17 in this case. So we're using last index of, and you'll notice here we have a lowercase I. Here, because of camel case, we have an uppercase I. So if we run this, go and clear this out, and run this, now you'll see the last S in our in our string is actually position 17. So we can also use this same kind of logic to not just search for the last S. In this case, because we don't have lots of repeating words, we're only going to do it with the last, with a repeating word. So here you can see we can also use these we can also use these type of methods to find the first occurrence of an actual given word or the last occurrence of a given word. So in this case, we're actually looking for the word is. So you can see the word is starts in position myString last index of, and we could have also done this as just index of, because it's going to be the same in this case because is only mentioned once. So we should see 8 in either case. So if we go ahead and run this and execute the macro, you'll see it's position 8. Just to show that yes, it doesn't matter whether it's last or first. We can actually get rid of this, I believe. Hopefully I'm not lying to you. And we'll clear this and you'll see we still get 8. So, and like I said, you can do this with words. The last index really didn't make sense because we only had one, but if we had a huge paragraph with lots of is's in it, that's how we could find the first or the last. We'd have to programmatically find any of the others, like if there were other is's in the thing, which a lot more complex. All right. Man, my voice hopefully doesn't give out. If a value is not found, then it will return back a -1. So, oops, Control Z. Actually, I'm going to grab that console log as well. Oh, we're at 22, dang it. All right, so in this case, if a value cannot be found in the string, it will actually return a letter Z. So we're checking for the first occurrence of Q and reporting its position. So you can see my string index of Q. Well, Foundry is the best VTT exclamation point does not contain a Q. So as you can see here, the Q is going to return a -1. Now this isn't to be confused with where we're doing our splitting and stuff, which you'll understand in just a few minutes what I'm talking about. But when we're doing an index of or a last index of, if we return a -1, that means it was unable to find the value. So now let's talk about the slice, which I was just talking about. So slice will actually take a part of, take a section of a string. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste it in here. So in this case, we have slice method. We can use the slice method to get characters from a string. Now these are also things that we learned. Did we learn these in arrays? I don't remember if array has slice. I kind of think it wouldn't, but maybe it does. I don't know. So anyway, you can research that on your own because we're out of time. So anyway, we can use the slice to get certain characters from a string. So it has 2 parameters. I don't know if I mouse over this, will it tell me? No, it's not. But basically, in our examples, we're only going to use 2 properties of the slice. So the method itself is expecting multiple properties. However, if you do not give the second property, it will just assume you mean to the very end. So it's going to do some special computations and figure that out for you. So in this case, we're saying slice starting at position 8. We know that position 8 is. So we're going to start here. And because we don't have a second parameter that we're passing, it's just going to get all the rest. So we should see is the best VTT exclamation point. So let's go ahead and see if we get that. And there you go. So starting at position 8, gives us is the best VTT. Now we could actually assign this to a variable. In this case, we're just outputting it, but it is actually returning is the best VTT. So we could assign that to variable if we want. So now let's look at if we want a range. So I'm going to go ahead, paste right here. So in this case, the second parameter is going to be the end of the slice. The default for that is going to be the end of the string that's being passed. So here we have starting at position 8. We're going to do Tasman. We're going to stick in there, but we're going to start at 8 and we're going to end at 19. So as you can see, 18 would be the T, 19 would be the space. Now, an important thing to note with giving at the end, it goes up to, but not including the end of that. So 19 technically is a space, and if we said 18, which is the T, it would not include that T. So let's go and clear this, and you'll see now we get slice starting at position 8 is Tasman is the best. And the only reason it says Tasman is because we specifically added that to our string and we went up to best. Now, just to give you the example, if we went to 18, which would be the T, because S is 17, T would be 18, you'll actually see that we do not include that value in there. So we'll keep that at 19. That's an important thing to remember. Now, we can also programmatically get these two values because we know how to check if a word is in there. We could actually look for is. So if we go in here, where is my, okay, here it is. So this is going to look really confusing, but it's actually quite simple once you take a look at it. So here you can see we're extracting best, the word best from the string, my string, right? From the my string string. So here we're saying my string dot slice, and then we're going to say, okay, now we're going to combine the things we've learned, and we're going to get the index of best, which is going to return the first value or the first index of that. So in this case, it should be returning 15, right? So it's going to set this automatically to 15. Then we have our comma, and we want to say our last string, or we want that whole word. Well, we're going to use the last index of a space, because you'll notice here that after the word best, there's only going to be one more space. So then what we're going to do is say, okay, I want the last instance of a space, which in this case would be 19, and it will return that 19. And because we're not including the 19 in our slice, it will actually just be the word best. So let's go ahead, it's already clear. So here you can see now we're grabbing best from in the middle of that string. All right, so our final thing here that I have on my notes is, Control C, is we can also use negative numbers for these. And this is where I said, don't be confused where this is returning -1 if it doesn't exist. We can use negative numbers, and what that does is starts at the end of our string and works its way to the beginning. So in this case, we have two examples here. So if we provide negative number for the start of the slice, it will start from the end of the string and count that way. So in this case, we're saying, what is -4? So we come up here and go from our thing, we say, this is -1, -2, -3, and -4. So we should get a V. Now it's important to note that it is not starting with a 0, because -0 doesn't really exist. So it just starts -1, 2, 3, and 4. So in this first thing, we're expecting to get a V. Now the second one, we're doing a range. So we're saying our starting position is -9, our ending position is -5. So if we go look at that, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we're going to start at the B, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is the space, which is not going to be included in it, and we should get best again. So if I'm reading this right and I'm telling you guys right, we should get an uppercase V, and the next one should give us the word best. So let's go and clear that out, hit that, and oh, actually it's to the end, I forgot. Remember, I was thinking it was just V, but if we remember, the default value is to the end. So it would automatically say to the end of the string. So what it's kind of doing behind the scenes is saying my str string dot length. So it's starting at -4, but then it's going to my string dot length. So if we execute that, hopefully we don't get an error. We get an error because I didn't have an uppercase S. There you go. So see, we still got the VTT. But it's technically, even though we don't include this, it's assuming that that's basically what the default value is going to be. All right, so that is going to do it with part 1 of string manipulation. In the next episode, we're going to be looking at more things that we're going to be looking at uppercase, lowercase, all that fun stuff. So I'm just looking at my thing really quick, and yeah, I think that's good for this episode. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, leave a comment down below. Aside from that, comment, like, subscribe. I just said comment twice. I always say comment twice, I think. Click that little notification bell. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. Don't forget to tell other people about my channel. And, you know, everyone wins in that situation. You know, I get more subs. They get good content, hopefully. And, yeah, that's it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.